All right, so this story was kind of predictable. we told you when Aaron came out and criticized those receivers, criticize teammates and coworkers with discretion, okay? Be very judicious with it. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler, very good reporter, wrote in his latest Insider column, Rodgers has created tension in the locker room by painting the Packers' young wide receivers as scapegoats for the team's problems. Fowler noted that it is not sitting very well with some, and that Rodgers was absent from much of the offseason, yet seems unhappy with the development of his young teammates. So as always, this story got out because people wanted it out in that locker room. Be careful criticizing teammates publicly. Aaron Rodgers also had another story yesterday that came out. I didn't see it until this morning. He said, quote, I don't give a blank, he swore, that any of these experts on TV, what their opinions are. Okay, great. Then why do you keep talking about it? It is interesting, though. Aaron's going to turn 39 here pretty quick. The end is in sight. And careers, I have found, they end how you think they're going to end. Tom Brady's is ending how you thought it would end. You can't pull him from a football field. He's still in the foxhole, fighting like mad, barking at teammates, wants to win over everything else. Of course, that's how Brady's career is going to end. Jay Cutler couldn't get along with anybody. Exactly. He couldn't get along with anybody in his prime. Big Ben fell off a cliff physically. Of course he did, because he wasn't committed when he was in his prime. Even wide receivers, T.O. at the end, was bouncing around. Nobody really wanted him. Yet Larry Fitzgerald at the end, class, dignity, elegance, and still pretty productive. Left on his terms. Of course, Aaron is struggling at the end. Teammates upset with him, prickly about the media, getting defensive. I don't care what they say about me. Of course, this is how it's going to end. Now, I'm not talking the end is like a year away, but it's close. And what happens is when that aging quarterback decides I'm going to take the most money available, then he plays with a less talented roster and a less flexible team, and all those flaws get exposed and become more flammable. He's always been prickly. Now he's losing. He's more prickly. He's always been a little defensive. Now he's losing. He's more defensive. How many times this year is he going to say he doesn't care about what anybody says? Then stop saying it. Stop paying attention to it. Rocky, finger pointing. It is remarkable how often careers end exactly how you think they would end. And it's close, and you know it's close. How do I know it's close? Because Aaron said he's not playing well into his 40s. He said it, not me. Brady and Belichick in their divorce took the high road. Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson are not taking the high road. It's been a simmering, clearly this was a simmering, heated relationship for multiple years. The rumors, the reporting was on point and true. There was no fake news here. Russell didn't think he was getting enough credit. Pete didn't think he was getting enough credit. And now they're taking shots at each other. Now they're fighting over a wristband. Both are true. Pete probably didn't feel that Russell Wilson appreciated Marshawn Lynch and Pete's amazing defense. It's probably true. And Russell thought, dude, you were fired 2 times before you got to Seattle. You got a losing record in Seattle until I got here. I was the catalyst, not your great defense. If it was so great, why didn't win before I was here? And Russell was right. But it's interesting. Brady initially won the divorce. But don't you think this morning, privately, he probably misses the coaching and the expertise of Belichick? I mean, Pete Carroll initially won this divorce. He has won it through 9 weeks. But we all kind of have a feeling, don't we, that Geno Smith will lose in the playoffs, get outplayed, will hit his ceiling, probably regress a little. Seattle will draft a quarterback and maybe reach in their draft and will probably miss because we may not have a great quarterback in this draft. There's clearly no Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, I don't believe. There's no Andrew Luck for sure. And 4 out of 5 teams that draft a quarterback in the first round don't get a great quarterback, so it's likely statistically, historically, that Seattle misses. And then Pete in a couple years is going to be sitting there losing and thinking in the playoffs, man, I could use a playmaker at quarterback. Like Russ. So, and I think Russell Wilson today is now realizing there's a lot of bad coaches in this league. Pete's one of the few great ones. So there's 2 things to take from this, in my opinion. Number one is neither side generally wins a divorce forever. Both will have successes and failures. And the second thing is you really got to appreciate in sports when you are great. Hopefully Pete and Russell enjoyed every win and every second of their greatness. It closes and shuts down very quickly in pro football. Pete's winning the divorce now. Brady won the divorce initially. You don't win it forever. Pete at some point is going to meet a little bit of a wall with Geno Smith in the NFC. Don't you think? Maybe it's possible. Maybe he'll lose to Philadelphia, watch Jalen Hurts making plays with his feet. You know, maybe he loses to somebody else in football. Maybe they get to the Super Bowl and he loses to Josh Allen making plays and Patrick Mahomes, the playmaker, or Joe Burrow, and he thinks, man, I wish I had that talent. And he did. Russell Wilson was unbelievable for an 8-year stretch. I don't think he's washed. Maybe he's not as good as he was. But I think Pete eventually is going to have to draft a quarterback to replace Geno. And don't forget, about one great quarterback per draft. And Seattle now is not going to have a top 15 pick. Seattle's winning too many games. And my guess is Seattle, with those first couple of picks, they're going to pick guys that can play and start. Maybe a center, maybe a receiver, maybe an outside linebacker. And they're going to have to go get a quarterback in the second or third round that's not as talented, but it could hit. But you don't want to pound the table when you're on top for too long. It turned on Tom Brady real fast. He's holding on for dear life in Tampa. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.